Look, our defenders, Jace, we know they're poor. Romero, I have to say, since winning the World Cup, and I'm not using that as a reason, he has gone off the boil. I know you've always been very much, Jace, hesitant to use that word World Cup about, world class about Romero. But there's just something majorly wrong in his game right now. I think he's lacking motivation. I think he looks around him and sees the absolute mess and the shambles, and just quite simply isn't up to the task at the moment. So give me your thoughts on the way in which we capitulated to be 3-0 down. And are you surprised at how Spurs showed a response after what we saw a week before, where we went on to concede 6? We need to unmute you, Jace. I'm so sorry. We've got you, Jace.
Sorry. I mean, they are horrendous individual areas, but they're also areas as a team. You know, communication has got to be right. And, you know, I made the point about communication in midweek, didn't I? Where players are not switched on. And, you know, Eric Dyer's goal to Rashford, I know we're going back 4 days to Rashford's goal. And you're thinking Eric Dyer's weakness is that ball over the top, he's got no pace. Rashford's strength is he's got pace to burn. So if that becomes a foot race, there's only one winner in that. And yet Romero's 30 yards in front of Eric Dyer. There's no awareness to look over his shoulder and think, Jesus, my mate could be in big trouble here if we lose the ball. Eric Dyer's not looking at Romero, screaming at him, hold on, I might need some bloody help in a minute. So there's no awareness of each other. Porro's not aware. There's no communication going on between them where they're digging each other out and saying, look, I need some help here. Eric Dyer pushes into midfield, big space behind. Why isn't Ben Davies shouting there? You can't go in there. There's no... It's just like, I think this is what Conte's getting at in selfish players. It's no one person to blame for it all.
I mean, the thing is, it's a lot of this is down to the players. It's not down to the manager.
Oh, it is.
Totally down to the players. And, you know, they picked it up in the second half, gave it a good go because they suddenly realised they were going to have to refund a load of tickets again for them to buck their ideas up. You know, I mean, we cannot keep blaming coaches. Oh, they haven't been coached this, they haven't been coached that. These players are very, very experienced footballers. They must see what's going on.
Of course
so they're choosing not to do it.
I must have said on that point, you know, many are having a go at me for digging out Romero. I'm not suggesting Romero is the only problem. Eric Dyer, again, if that guy's given a new contract, I mean, there's protests regarding the owners. There'll be protests how Eric Dyer is still a Tottenham player if he's given and awarded a new contract. I'm not for one saying here it's all Romero's fault. I've got no doubt that with a capable and able deputy next to him, you will see the improvement of Romero. But I'm just talking about as an individual, we should be expecting more. We should be expecting more from Pedro Porro. We should be expecting more from Eric Dyer. We should be expecting more from every one of those defenders that are playing at the moment. More should be expected. I am not singling out Christian Romero, just to be very, very clear here. He is a talented player. It was one of the reasons why last season Tottenham got into the top 4. But again, people don't seem to like the fact that some of their favourite players are being dug out, but he needs to be because he hasn't been good enough. He has not been good enough, whether you like it or not. And Spurs now, they've conceded a league high of 13 goals in the opening 15 minutes of Premier League matches this season. Well, only 3 teams have ever conceded more in this period in a single campaign. Wolves in 11-12 with 16. Ipswich in 94-95-15. Sheffield United in 93-94-14. That's how far you've got to go back to see how bad we are doing in those opening 15 minutes of games. Only Leeds, Forest, Leicester, Southampton have conceded more goals than Tottenham this season. And again, you know, we make that joke, you know, with Tottenham that almost a year ago, people were saying how good and how positive Spurs' XG was generally in the second half of the season. You know, Liverpool, to some degree, we allowed them to dominate us and keep going at us. And I mean, 15, 20 minutes. And you can't win any single game like that, playing like that. And, you know, you can argue that it was Liverpool's utter brilliance of attack and ruthless nature. And Spurs were in those first 15 minutes already thinking of the case, this is damage limitations. And Lee, coming over to you, our first touch in the Liverpool box came after 29 minutes. 29 minutes it took for us to get into the Liverpool box. And look, to be fair, look, we got our goal eventually. Perisic did well to chop inside Virgil van Dijk, stood up across to Kane to volley in. He's now got 208 Premier League goals, moving him second in the all-top scorers and level list with Wayne Rooney. But I do wonder, Lee, the more this goes on, how can Harry Kane genuinely want to stay at this football club? Do you have a view on that very quickly, Lee, before we discuss and dissect the rest of this utter shit show?
Yeah, I just want to come back on a couple of them things, actually, if I can. So I disagree a little bit with Jason Russ with regards to it is just down to the players. Because I think for the last 3.5 years, maybe 4 years, but for the last 3.5 years since Jose walked into his football club, every single one of them players has been coached to not press. Every single one of them. Every single one of them has been coached under Nuno not to press, and under Conte don't press. So if I do my day job every single day, and the people that are around me running the business or running whatever it is that everyone's doing every day, drumming into me, don't do this, do it like that. Don't do this, do it like that. Don't do this, do it like that. For 3.5 years, I can guarantee you now, we will be brainwashed, if you like, into doing what that is. And I do take the points. I'm not totally disagreeing with them saying that it's not the players' fault. I'm not sticking up for players at all. What I'm saying is that I think that from a coaching perspective, if we got a coaching that was a proactive coach, that is a front foot coach, that doesn't sit behind the ball and park the buses, that actually go and coach them to actually go forward, we would get more pressing from the front. We would get more defence, because I do agree with Jason and Russ that the whole team needs to defend. And at the moment, they're not at all. The communication, all the things that you guys said there, I agree with that. But I think that to level it at one player or two players or whatever, or even the high press piece, it partly is because of the coaching.
I mean, in the most politest way, Lucas Moura sending Jota through to win it. And, again, I said this earlier, and I know Jason didn't like it. Those moments in isolation from Lucas Moura has now single-handedly cost Tottenham points in both his last 2 games that he's featured in, despite only being on the pitch for 12 of the 180 minutes. And look, we all respect what Lucas did for us in Ajax. I mean, look, being honest, how I feel is I think he has lived off that moment for a very, very long, long time.
Yeah.
He's another player that really should have been moved on quite a while ago. He's only here because, for whatever reason, Spurs maybe have held on to try and think they could get a full value for him, but have now admitted in acceptance that he's going to leave the club on a free transfer. Should he even be coming off the bench, Russ, in the most politest way me saying that?
I don't think so, because he's not played enough. He can't be match sharp. And the mistake for the goal was just basics, really. I mean, and that's a worrying thing. And we go back to what Jason said at the start of the show, that this is all about mistakes, conceding 3 goals in the first 15 minutes of this match. Again, early goal against Man United. We know what happened at Newcastle. Lord knows I was there. It was terrible. But you also make mistakes at the other end as well. And for him to, I just wouldn't, why would you bring him on? You bring him on for pace. I mean, really, did they think that he was going to run up and do what he did in Ajax in the Amsterdam Stadium? Chances are he wasn't going to do that. And because he's not played enough at this level, I think it's not his fault. He just isn't match sharp and mentally prepared and drilled in the right way.